Hey everyone, this short video will explain the literary analysis essay. This is going to be a two-page essay that will analyze a short story. And I've provided three short stories here for you to choose from. This is from the instructions page. You just choose one and then you can access it from this link. You might have to copy and paste it to your browser, but choose one short story. Know that again, it has to be 2 full pages, and the third page should be a works cited page. Please see the MLA resources that are in this unit that show exactly how to set up an MLA formatted essay, and also how to set up an MLA formatted works cited page, and also how to cite those sources that are listed on the works cited page within your essay. It's very important. 2 sources are required for this essay. The short story that you choose from up here, and you have to have at least one academic scholarly article, either from NC Live or Gale Literary Resource Center. These are the databases that CVCC has in order to gain some access to really good articles about literary criticism of short stories. So you will need to view the video that shows how to access the CVCC databases, because your article needs to come from the database. So you'll have to type in some various search terms based on your outline that you're going to do on your own to be sure that you can support some of your points with the research. So you're going to use the databases. The organization for this type of essay is going to be like the 5-paragraph essay. It's got an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. You're going to choose 3 literary terms or literary devices from the literary terms list provided in Blackboard. I believe it's in the reading folder. So you'll want to click on that list and you'll want to choose which literary devices or terms are actually used in the short story that you chose. And there are tons used in each of these short stories. Okay, so you can choose 3. Like for instance, I may choose theme, imagery, and irony. Maybe I've found all of those in a Story of an Hour. Let's just say I've found all of those in Story of an Hour. So that's how I'm going to write my analysis, based on those 3 literary terms used in that short story. So once I've decided on the 3 literary devices, then I can kind of plan and format my outline. And there is an outline provided along with these instructions in the submission link. The outline is not to be submitted for a grade, but I did provide it so that you could see what parts are needed. And you can print it out if you want to, fill it out if you want to online, save it, and then use it as your roadmap or your guide while you're writing this essay. So again, this is not a summary. You're not writing an entire summary of this short story. You're analyzing it. You're looking a lot deeper than the surface, okay? And focusing on literary terms that are used in it and how they impact the overall understanding of the story. Now, MLA format. Let's just say, for example, you're going to choose this first story, Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. Well, here is how you cite that source on your works cited page. There it is right there. All you need to do is copy and paste that. Just take the yellow off. And if you're writing about this short story, but if you're not writing about this short story, if you're writing about one of the other ones, the Yellow Wallpaper or the Telltale Heart, all you need to do is just keep the same format, keep the punctuation all the same, but just change the author, change the story, and change the URL. That's it. So that's all you need to do for that citation for your short story. And when that short story is cited within your essay, then it's going to look like this. You're going to have a parenthetical citation at the end, and that's how, if you give a quote from Chopin that proves or gives an example of theme presented in the story, then you're going to put Chopin in parentheses at the very end. Okay? And you'll do that same thing with Edgar Allan Poe. It'll be Poe here. Or Charlotte Perkins Gilman, it'll be Gilman here. So just keep in mind that right here gives you the formatting of the short story source. All you might have to do is just change it based on the story that you choose. A couple other things. Be sure to write in present tense. Keep yourself out of it, meaning keep words like I, you, your, me, us, our. Keep all of those words out of there. Okay, you're speaking in the third person. Using I, using first person, using second person wording is considered to be informal, and we want to make sure that we write in formal academic form. Short story titles and article titles are put in quotation marks, so be sure to do that so you don't get point deductions throughout your essay. Avoid summarizing the plot, retelling the story. Just know that you're analyzing, not summarizing. You're looking deeper than the surface and what things mean in the story to try to analyze and serve the purpose of this essay. Literary terms to discuss. Again, I've listed some here, but what I need for you to do is look at the literary terms list and choose 3 from there. All right. No contractions. This means like don't, won't, can't, couldn't, wouldn't. Just write those out. Do not, cannot, would not, should not. Okay, again, contractions are considered to be informal. And then, again, like I said, use the CVCC database to find your other article, because if you check that video out that I have provided about how to access the databases, it shows you the really cool cite tool that it has in there that it'll cite the source for you. All you do is copy and paste. So it's really neat. So that's the instructions for the assignment. Let me show you the outline. I really would like students to use this. I know you may not like outlining. A lot of students don't, but I think it's very important to make sure you don't miss any parts, because you have to have all of your parts. So here's the sample that I've plugged in here of everything that you need. In the introduction paragraph, you'll have an attention grabber. So find some way, really interesting way to start off your essay. It could be a good question. It could be, a quote. It could be something, really important that pertains to the overall message of the story that you want to start off with. It could be whatever you want. Look at the sample that I provided in Blackboard 2 that'll show you how they did it. And then here you'll want to name your story that you're writing about and the author, and then give just a very brief summary. Brief summary, just maybe like 2 or 3 sentences. That's it, tops. And then you'll have a thesis statement. Remember, the thesis statement is the one statement that tells exactly what your paper will be about. And since your purpose is to analyze a short story, you're going to have to make sure that's very clear in your thesis statement. So a good example of a thesis statement might be, like if I'm writing about the lottery, I may say, "The Lottery" by Shirley Jackson uses similes, metaphors, and personification to relay the message that tradition is not always the best way to go, period. Whatever. It could be whatever. You could tie that into the major theme of your story if you want. But if you've noticed, I was able to put the story that I was going to write about, the author, and then my reasons, which are going to be the literary devices that you're going to focus on in the body paragraphs. So like here, point 1 of analysis. This is going to be the literary term that you're going to put here. So you need a topic sentence here. This short story contains imagery, period. And then give all of your examples that you could find throughout the story of imagery used and why they're important. You have to tie it back into why it's important and why it really enhances the story to use that type of description. Explain in your words what the topic sentence means, and then here, you don't always have to add research, but here's a good place that you could possibly add research. Not every paragraph will have research in it. This is, again, just an outline guide. But be sure to give specific details from the story in the form of documented quotes, meaning cited quotes, and support from other research sources you are including. So if you have If you're writing about imagery here and you're listing all the examples and explaining the examples, what they mean and how they relate to the story and impact the overall understanding or the message of the story, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to include research in that particular paragraph if you don't have it. Save it for another paragraph. Respond to the research if you include it and connect it back to your paragraph topic. Here's your second point, which is going to be the second literary term that you decide to discuss. You know, the use of irony in this particular story is powerful, period. Then you're going to give the examples of irony that's used in the story and why it was important, why it was put in there. Why do you think the author used it? If you can find research about that particular part of the short story, like irony, and why irony was used, or maybe that particular author, that was their craft, using irony in a lot of their writing, you could plug that in, okay? And again, you want to respond to that research if you include it. Then you'll have your third point following the same process, and then you have your conclusion. In your conclusion, you're going to summarize your analysis. You're going to summarize your ideas presented in the essay. And then you're going to reiterate or restate your thesis statement and end with a profound statement that leaves your reader really thinking, which most of the time students will put maybe an end statement that kind of summarizes the overall message of the short story. So you can fill this in. Again, this does not, like this section right here, does not mean you have to have research in every paragraph, but when you do research for that second source, because you're using your short story as your detail, but you're also incorporating one research source, literary criticism about the topic of your paper, but also the subtopics, which are your literary devices used in this story. So you want to be sure that whatever research you do find, that you incorporate it, but incorporate it at the right places. And like I said, you may only have one paragraph that has one piece of research from that source. The rest may just be information from the short story, and that's perfectly fine as long as you do incorporate that research source. So here is an example of what this outline looks like and how your essay should be formatted. Please use it, because if you use it, it'll help guide you and you won't leave any parts out. Be sure to go through, and I'm going to jump back here for just a second. Be sure, here's how to access the CVCC databases. Go through all these reading assignments. Look at the samples. Look at everything I've provided. This helps you with writing your own essay. And even these supplemental resources will help you as well. If you have any questions whatsoever along the way, please do not hesitate to contact me. But also be sure to set up writing assistance. If you look here and you click on writing assignments, if you need assistance with any of the writing assignments, please contact the Writing Center on campus at CVCC. You can do online tutoring and you can do seated tutoring, but they'll be glad to help you with proofreading, organizing, editing, MLA documentation, coming up with ideas, whatnot. If you have the time, they're a wonderful resource. But as always, please come to me first, and I'll try to answer any questions you have, but utilize these sources and these resources in this unit because it'll help you. If you need me, I'm here. Thank you.